What's up, grinders? Welcome back to the channel. Now, a day ago I dropped this video, how I used Anki to learn programming, and it wasn't exactly about languages. Now, this video got about half the views of a normal video after one day, which adds to be expected. You guys are here for languages, not programming languages. I know there's a difference in there somewhere, but like, that's what you're here for, okay? But I did get a couple of good comments on this video, and I want to respond to this comment kind of publicly now. Man, hearing you talk about programming makes me wish you branched out into discussing other topics than languages. You're really a good communicator. Well, thank you. Communication is my skill set, okay? So I said I plan to slowly branch out into other topics. This video will be one of those branch outs. And this person said, ripped deer when? Don't worry. The fitness challenge is coming. Okay, I swear to God, there's going to be a massive fitness challenge coming within the next few months. I am going to eventually mog the fitness community, just as I have mogged the language community. I'm just going to be out there spanking them. At the moment, we've got fat deer. Eventually, we'll have ripped deer, okay? But right now, we're going to be talking to programmer deer. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to watch this video here. It's from Games from Scratch. Unreal Engine 6 is mind-blowing. Now, for those who are not in the game development space, I'm going to assume that most of you aren't. So if you are, I'm sorry, but I'm going to start defining some terms of combat. So if you play video games, most games nowadays are made from two different engines. There is a bunch of different engines out there, but we've got two main ones. An engine is just the code that runs a game. The game is built on top of an engine. You could build the game from scratch without an engine. And there's hardcore people that do that, including myself. But most people use a game engine, and most businesses use a game engine. And the two main ones out there are called Unreal Engine and Unity. Fuck those guys. I don't like Unity, if you haven't figured that out already. But we're going to talk about Unreal Engine. That has been my bread and butter for the last 6 years or so. I have done pretty much everything you could possibly imagine in Unreal Engine. If you can imagine it, I've done it, okay? And I've done stuff I shouldn't have done in Unreal Engine. But we're going to talk about Unreal Engine 6 because we are currently in the 5 territory, and apparently this one is mind-blowing. This is what's coming out next. I don't know, like, I love Unreal Engine, but I feel like it's becoming bloatware. It's kind of like how, you know, you got Microsoft XP, and that was kind of like the peak of Microsoft, and then it just kind of became more and more bloated with time. That's kind of what Unreal Engine's doing. Yeah, it's adding all these new fancy schmancy features to help the artists in the team, but it's making the programmers' lives hell. And it's making you, the game players, also hell, because there's so much shit that we have to do just to pull it back and make it actually usable for you guys. Now, I do want to talk about how a team is built in the game design space. There's usually like 4 main roles if you get rid of all the management and the bullshit roles, like HR. So let's talk about those roles. Okay, so you've got the programmers. They program. Yeah. Then you've got the artists, and they artist. Yeah, that's a verb now. Then you've got the designers, and they design. See how perfect that is? See how beautiful that is? You got programmers program, designers design, artists should fucking artist. That's how it should be, okay? So we've got those roles, and then you got QA, who's meant to be the team who's there to test if the product's broken and to find, you know, those holes and let us know. But what they end up actually doing is testing shit that's not even meant to be tested for some goddamn reason. Why would you do that? Why? Why do you just randomly delete a DLL from the project and say, oh, Evildea, it's not working? I don't get it. I don't get it. But we're going to watch this video and see if this is going to make my future hell, or if I'm actually like, you know what? Sounds good.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's Mike here at Game from Scratch, and this is going to sound like a very hyperbolic video, and honestly, it's not.
Now, straight up, I'm looking at this and I'm going, this here, hundreds of gigs. Hundreds of gigs of data, just straight up, okay? You've got all these landscapes and buildings and stuff. This is all built using a technology called Nanite. Basically, Nanite, it has the ability to load very, very large, complex structures such as these fast. The downside is it takes up an insane amount of data, but it's not like you need hard drive space or anything. I'm actually not a fan of Nanite. Yeah, it looks beautiful. It can allow you to create these magical, you know, environments and stuff, but it's a pain in the fucking ass to work with, bro. Just random shit just does not work how it's meant to. Like, you're looking at this, notice how all of this is just like bricks and, I don't know, like mainly bricks and rocks. Notice there's nothing fancy in there like bushes and stuff, because that shit, it just goes spastic. It doesn't work right. Okay. Anyway, let's keep going.
Epic Games
By the way, I said the word spastic then. I don't know if that's an insult anywhere, but it's very common here in Australia.
just concluded their State of Unreal. It's their annual developer conference, and you got the slate of announcements that you probably expected.
So you see that? You see that all those pretty little colors there? That is not an artwork. That is a representation of the actual 3D structure of that entire rock. Look how much is in there. Now, you might be looking at this and going, wow, that looks pretty normal. It ain't. That ain't normal, okay? You go back 10 years ago, that rock would be like 3-4 colors. That'd be it, okay? You wouldn't have all that. And do we really need all that? I don't know.
We got, all these partnerships with other people like Disney.
Okay, if you're wondering why I'm like so annoyed about this type of stuff, even though like it looks fucking fantastic, it's because the artists see this and they're like, bro, this is amazing. I can just add any amount of rocks I want, and they drop it all on there. The game FPS, its run rate just fucking craters, and then the designers turn to us and they're like, programmers, can you fix this? And we're like, we didn't break it. Our shit working great. It's the artists putting in all this stuff, and they're like, yeah, but the artists think it's pretty. And I'm like, yeah, well, guess what? It also takes up my entire hard drive. Please, no.
Disney, we got some games that were created using Unreal Engine. Nice stuff. On top of that, we also even got a new version of Unreal Engine. Unreal Engine 5.8 is now available. You can download that now. I'll have a video about that later on. But quite frankly, it is my far and away secondary news to what else was announced. Because
see, I'm kind of old school, even though I'm not old school when it comes to programming. But I liked it when people used to build bespoke engines from the ground up for specific types of games. But nowadays, every game is built on one of these engines. Okay, that's a lie. There is a lot of big companies that still run their own engines, but it's heading in that direction.
For some huge announcements today. More or less, this revolves around Unreal Engine 6. Now, you're going to hear something weird. This came from Epic Games. Unreal Engine 6 isn't a focus on graphics, which is something I've
that would be a surprise. Okay, let's find out.
been wanting to hear for a long time, because in Unreal Engine 5, a lot of complaints about the graphics being implemented, the performance just not being there.
So not there. It is a headache. Like I've got some software that we've been running at one of the, the company I work at, okay. Basically, it takes up an entire computer, like a gaming rig, to run something that could be actually completely rewritten straight up in OpenGL and be barely like even noticeable on the processing graphics side of things, just because so much is being consumed by the engine. And you can like rip that stuff away. It's just painful to do.
And just like, you make things prettier and prettier, but if you can't use them in real life, what's the point? Well, Unreal Engine 6 has a much different focus, and it wasn't where I was expecting it to be, because I think the heart of what I would take away from Unreal Engine 6 is open ecosystem. Yeah, I think that would be how I sum it up. Now,
okay. Open ecosystem, what's this mean? I'm a little bit iffy already.
we already know a little bit about Unreal Engine 6 because we had the Rocket League reveal a couple of months back? I don't know, time flies.
I haven't seen that one.
I did a video about it, but anyways, when they released at a competition for Rocket League, they announced that it was being ported to Unreal Engine 6. We've also got some words from Tim in the past where Unreal Engine...
Tim is the CEO of Unreal Engine, and in fact, I believe he was one of the original coders. And it's called Unreal Engine because it comes from Unreal Tournament. That's what it was originally designed for. And you can still see the original code in the naming conventions within the code base of Unreal Engine.
Engine 6 is more or less Unreal Engine 5 plus UEFN plus Verse.
I mean like the Unreal Tournament in Unreal Engine, if I didn't clarify that.
Plus a couple of other things equals Unreal Engine 6. Well, that wasn't completely accurate, because there is a lot to Unreal Engine 6. No, it's not like a feature sheet where I'm going to say, okay, well, we're getting this new sub-sampling, super pixel scaling system, or hyper nanite lumen. No major features like that.
You know these types of scenes here where you got like the CEO or someone come out on stage and it's like you got all the audience and they're like, wow. This kind of reminds me of the early WoW days with Blizzard, where people were actually excited to go to BlizzCon and see stuff. And I don't even think BlizzCon's running anymore. It's like you could see as like the fans of something start to die off and it just becomes full corporate. So I'm not sure Well, I'm assuming it's a full corporate stage at this stage, but I'm kind of curious to see how the fans are going for Unreal Engine. Yeah, there's there was fans.
What do we talk about today? Well, they did talk a little bit about Verse, Verse being the new programming language created for UEFN. And
I hate this so much. Stop creating programming languages. We don't need so many programming languages. I know that sounds insane from a guy who literally learns languages. Like, that's what the entirety of my channel has been about. But making a bespoke programming language for a specific engine means that those skills, for the most part, are not portable. It locks you into their ecosystem. Like, for example, Godot, which is another open source game engine, it's got its own scripting language, okay? Now, I went out and learned it. I haven't used it in like ages, so I've probably forgotten most of it. Well, that's why, because like it's literally locked into that ecosystem. Terrible idea. Now, I understand the positive sides. People are like, oh, but if you make it designed around the ecosystem, then it's going to fulfill the needs of that ecosystem. That's a cop-out. You're just trying to lock people in. All these languages, C#, C++, Rust, whatever, they can all do the same shit. You don't need to make your own damn programming language. You're just trying to lock people into your ecosystem.
It's going to be coming to Unreal Engine 6. But the big thing about that is the scalability of it. The fact that you can use it in an atomic manner so that if you need to do rollback, you can, so you can distribute it out and so on. And then it starts to make a little bit more sense why they're pushing Verse.
I love how all CEOs these days, they're trying to dress as if they're just like your standard programmer who's rocked up to work, had a little bit too much caffeine. Like, they're not wearing the business suits or anything anymore because they want to appeal to the common programmer. Look, I get it. You were a programmer back in the day, my man, but it's been a long time. It's been a long time.
So hard because of the other announcements they made today. And the big thing here is openness. What they're doing with Unreal Engine 6 is for every open standard that they can make work, they're adopting it. So that means internally file formats, they're going to be using things like Pixar's USD format, which is a common texture interchange format, and then GLTF or GLB, the Kronos Group's standardized 3D format. So
that makes sense for the Kronos one, because that is kind of a standard already.
So this is instead of internalized things or using proprietary stuff like FBX, they're going
Okay, that's good.
to be using these open standards, but they go one step beyond that. Where there is no open standard, they're going to be releasing one. And you're going to think, okay, well, that sounds lovely, but is it actually going to happen?
Yeah, the problem whenever someone like a company like this tries to make their own open standard is usually it doesn't become accepted by others in the industry. So it's just an open standard just for them anyway.
Yeah, it's going to happen because
like this would require them for these levels here, what you're seeing, okay, you got material, skeletal animation, movement, state machine, mesh component, sound component. Like to make those a standard, they would have to work with their competition. And I don't see Unity coming to the table and saying, hey, let's work together. Or Godot, maybe Godot would actually, because Unreal Engine or Epic have funded Godot in the past, so that makes sense. Unity being the other big one out there, I don't see them coming in following this standard unless Unreal's bending to their requirements, and Unity and Unreal fundamentally at this level operate differently.
It happened today. It's pretty insane what all they announced today. But basically, what they're doing is they're going through the heart of system and the data, the things that you need to create your game, the heart of your, like the kernels of data part. If it isn't open, they're going to use an open standard. If there isn't an open standard, they're going to open standard their implementation. So they're going to make the whole gaming ecosystem.
Okay, so if this rolls out in 2027, do not try to use it in any form of production environment until at least 2028, because I guarantee it's riddled with bugs. Every new version requires several subversions in order just to fix up the goddamn bugs.
Much more open. Now that sounds like hollow words until you look.
And I know that because I've actually reported bugs to Unreal Engine before, and fixed some of them myself.
What else they announced today? First off is lore. Now lore came out of nowhere for me. Lore is...
Okay, version control. Okay, the main version controls out there at the moment are Git and Perforce. Now, what is version control? That's simply software that, captures the current state of your development and it allows you to share that with others and basically make it so that multiple people can work on one thing without freaking overwriting each other. Okay, it's basically that. Why do we need another one? We're perfect. Like Git works fine. Well, okay, Git does have one fundamental issue, and that is the fact that you need a separate service to upload large files, which is where Perforce kind of takes off. But Perforce is just a pain in the ass to work with.
On the one hand, you can think of it like a version control system, sort of like Subversion or Perforce.
Oh yeah, Subversion's... Actually, I like Subversion. Subversion's a good one. It's very simple in how it works. Very simple.
A little bit...
Actually, if I was to say out of all of them, for game design, because like... not game design, game programming, or any big project. Any project that takes more than, freaking 5 gig to 10 gig, Subversion, best one, best choice, 100%.
Of Git, kind of a combination there. It does, source code control, rollback, and that kind of stuff. But it also seemed to be a bit of like the back end data system of a game as well. And it also is like a distributed system. So it's for, storing multiple iterations of binary assets, making it, version lock. So if someone's working on it, someone else can't, that kind of stuff. And of course, source code control. So you make changes to your source code, you can roll it back and so on. But they're also doing this full blown, API layer on top of it. So you can build your own games and applications on top of lore. And in fact,
what do you mean by that? Well, I don't get that.
They're actually going to be adopting lore for Unreal Engine 6, which, by the way, the source code is going to be available today, apparently. But the thing is, by the time of Unreal Engine 6's release, they're going to have it running on top of lore. Now, why lore is so important, though, is it's also open sourced, available right now, and it is under the MIT license. That alone is industry shaking. There's a lot of people out there that are looking for a...
It isn't industry shaking until it's actually adopted. He's just throwing out buzzwords at this stage. Like, I'm hearing this, it sounds like it's another version control system that works well with Unreal, because Unreal's obviously going to integrate with it. But like I said, most studios out there have already, if they're a big studio, they might use Perforce. If they're a studio that doesn't know what the fuck they're doing, they're probably using Git with like some type of large file backup system. Or if they're a small studio that's a bit clever, and they're willing to spend a bit of money, they'll use Subversion. Like, this doesn't mean anything until I see what benefit it provides in action.
Better source control experience than something like Git. But the whole idea behind this for Unreal Engine is to use this as like the ecosystem or the backbone for an open distributed, I hate to use the word, but metaverse. And you can tell Tim Sweeney...
Okay, let's keep going.
I grew up reading things like Neuromancer, Ready Player One, Snow Crash, you name it, and he's been trying to push towards the integration of that forever. And it's been tried many times. I think Facebook has burned hundreds of billions of dollars on this.
Think? Okay. I'm hoping that they're not trying to turn Unreal Engine into like a high fidelity Roblox. Because like some of the features they're introducing make me think that's the direction they're kind of going.
Unsuccessfully. We had things like VRML in the past, but this seems to be one of the best attempts, it seems, towards creating this open, connected, shareable gaming experience. And again, the way they're doing this is by open standards. And on top of the things that they did earlier on, they also released a dev kit for MetaHumans. They changed the licensing on MetaHumans earlier on. So
I haven't worked with anyone who's actually used MetaHumans at this point. I'm sure they're in use. Like, they're probably used in multiple students. I just haven't seen it. Just because they're so heavy.
If you're using...
Heavy as in, like, they take up a lot of resources.
A Unity or Godot or something, or your own custom engine, and you want to use MetaHumans, the license was changed so you're allowed to do so. Well,
yeah, I wouldn't be using MetaHumans though. If you're trying to get this super high fidelity, that would require MetaHumans. And for you guys who don't know what MetaHumans are, they're basically just Unreal Engine has developed a system where you can create characters that are goddamn almost human-like in their accuracy, okay? Now, if you're just trying to create an environment filled with a bunch of humans, that's going to take up a ton of resources because they take up so much. Okay, so, well, then that means you're going to use them for bespoke humans. Which, if you're doing that, wouldn't you want to customize your human design? Otherwise, you're just going to look like every other goddamn game out there anyway. And if you're building your own engine that means one of your priorities is most likely efficiency, optimization, or at least the type of game that's very, very different to other games out there, which means you're probably not going to be using metahumans anyway.
Today, they released a dev kit so you can integrate metahumans into your own title, and then they also...
Yeah, see, like, if I'm building my own engine, I'm not going to be integrating some other dude's fucking characters into my engine, like, into my own game. This would be the one spot where I'd splurge a little bit of money, you know, on the characters.
Released the rig behind metahumans open source as well. So you can start taking these metahumans and they can use them across engines. At the same time, let's say you want to have something like a Fortnite character in your game. Well, they released that technology today as well too. Yeah, they have a system now where you can bring in game assets from something like Fortnite and then integrate them into your own title.
Bro, I swear to God, they're trying to, like, go the Roblox route. Fucking hell. Sorry, my wife just sent me a message saying there's food in the oven. Like, not a fan.
So this is really working towards an open game web. And you think for a second, well, you're not going to want... This is just Fortnite on, steroids.
Exactly.
No, they actually talk specifically about not having Fortnite be like the overlord above it, but being part of it. And they don't want to gatekeep all this. And that's, I think, something...
yeah, they say they don't want to gatekeep it, but I 100% guarantee once they've got adoption at a higher amount, that's where they gatekeep. That's how it always works. They always say, like, literally any company does this. Duolingo is exactly the same. Let's talk languages for a second, okay? For those who are from the language space here. What did they do at the beginning? We want to make education and languages free for everybody. So we're going to bring in all these volunteer tutors who will help build out this massive ecosystem, where anyone can create a course. And then once they get to a certain size and adoption rate, they're like, we're locking this shit down. Get rid of all you freaking cretins. We're going public. We're going to make money. Like, you're locked in at that point.
Tim Sweeney has spent a whole lot of money trying to break down walls and app stores and so on. And you can sort of see he doesn't seem to be wanting to do this.
No. He wants to break it down so that they take over. You just look at how Unreal Engine has developed over the last few years. Some of these things have been really good. They've started building their own modeling toolkit. They've gone into live production movies. Like, you can literally make movies in Unreal Engine, and then at the same time you can model an engine. They're trying to, like, literally destroy Blender, Maya, all these, like, 3D editing pack. They're trying to take over everything within that space. Then becoming the Roblox of freaking game design. That's just a logical step.
Like, to monopolize it. I think that's the difference between, like, him and a Zuckerberg.
What do you want about? Of course they're trying to monopolize it. What It's like every company's goal is to monopolize, but to say they're not monopolizing so that they don't get broken apart by the government. Bruh.
Although billionaires, you can never really understand billionaire logic at the end of the day, but this does seem to be a real concerted effort towards creating an open gaming...
It's to their benefit. A lot of people think open source means it's free for everyone to use. This is amazing. Yeah, it's true. But unless you have the actual, like, resources available to build, like, modify that thing, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean you can copy it, do what you want with it, but, like, you need the expertise, like, who actually know it to do it. It's why most programmers will work for years free on an open source project that they actually like, because they know that if this ever grows to a point where there's a business that builds around it, and they all do, like Linux has got businesses built around it, they get hired, and they get hired for a lot of monies because they're the limited expertise that exists within that industry.
Ecosystem is no better way to put it. And then Unreal Engine 6 is sort of going to be like a tool that supports it for sure, but also like the open standard presentation example of it so other people can follow suit. And then hopefully in the future, all of your games have this level of interop. And then the whole dream is basically that you could have, your friends can move between all different gaming experiences flawlessly. You can have all of your game assets, stuff you paid for.
So you see all of these, like, lines and stuff everywhere. This is literally the structures that are existing visually on your screen right now, consuming your entire hard drive. Now, if you built this bespoke, this engine from the base up, just specific for the needs of your game, it would run so much smoother. It'd be like fucking butter. But no one does that anymore.
For DLC and so on, potentially move between games as well. And I'm going to conclude this thing with a speech from Tim Sweeney. Now, don't get me wrong, there is a lot of opposition to this. Like, you know, your Activisions, Microsoft kind of thing, they like the login. They like the fact that you've spent X amount of money on things that are only usable in one game. Same with Valve, you know.
Okay, so they're trying to share basically things between games. Again, like, unless it's the same type of game, what are you going to share? And by the same type of game, I mean literally even the same franchise. Like, yeah, I don't know.
All the money that was spent on things like Counter-Strike keep you playing Counter-Strike to this day. So they like that lock-in. So they're not going to just immediately go, oh, let's go into that system. But if you get enough people developing their titles, if say 30% of the developers work towards this interoperability that creates...
But like, this would make no sense. Like, why would you want to play as Batman in like a freaking dinosaur game? Okay, maybe you would. Maybe you'd want to swap out your character to be Batman. Okay, maybe there is actual use case there. I don't know. Personally, I wouldn't like it.
Unreal Engine games, and then we start seeing, you know, SDKs for Godot or Unity, and like say 20 or 30% of those developers start creating this so that you have this interchange between all of these different titles where it's possible. Then that will make a large enough block or a large enough community that then they hit critical mass and everyone stays within there. And then potentially there is more money to be made in a more reliable, less expensive way. But
okay. If these assets could be just imported into any game, an asset being like the model, you know, the character that you're playing, if it could be imported into any game where you just play a humanoid character, I could see potential there for artists working independently or even as entire studios just selling characters for you to play in any game you want to play in. Like they could literally go, oh, you want to be you? A balding 39-year-old white Australian? Well, you can. We'll make that character and you can play as that dude in any game you want. Any game. Would I want to do that? Probably no.
The fact that Epic Games basically facilitated this by all of the things they did today, opening up lore, making it generally available right now, metahumans, then we've got Fortnite characters and so on, them promising open standards going forward in Unreal Engine 6, those are some pretty big deals.
The open standards thing is good. That's a good move. I was actually bitching about this, a similar problem today with some other programmers, and I was like, you know what really annoys me? Is you got Blender and Unreal, they use completely different controls to navigate within the 3D world where you're making the edits. So every time you swap between them, your brain gets all screwed up. It's like swapping between languages. All of a sudden, like, everything you do in one language is different in another. Like, let's say it's SVO in one language, like, subject, verb, object in one language, and there's object, subject, verb in another. That's literally going between the two. You get messed up for a second there. That shit they need to standardize. They need to standardize the goddamn controls between all of these creation systems.
And again, let's conclude this by listening to Tim Sweeney, the world's most comfortable public speaker out there, explain why. And I think, you know, you may love the guy, you may hate the guy, you may be indifferent to the guy, but I swear this time, listen to the guy, and then let me know in the comments.
Okay, so we're going to listen to the big cheese at Unreal Engine. Unreal Engine is basically what runs most of the games you guys buy.
Down below, if you ultimately believe what he's saying or you don't, because this is a huge potential conversation, and I'm curious to hear what you think.
But we believe in a very different future, and a much brighter one for the people in this room, and that is that...
Bro, you need to take a communication course. I'm just watching him. Okay, I've given lots of speeches back in my day. In fact, I trained business owners and managers as part of my tutoring at one point on how to give speeches. Doing this, holding your goddamn mic like this, like it's your unborn child, like into your body, means you are not confident about what you're doing. And that projects a terrible image about what you're about to say.
A future of high-quality gaming rising to the challenge and linking...
He's even got lockjaw happening. He can barely talk because... Is this nerves? Why would you be nervous? You run the goddamn biggest company.
Linking up our content, linking up our communities, and linking up...
He's even pulling his head back into his own neck.
...our economies to deliver fun and to serve gamers...
Listen to how he says that, bro. If I heard this from, like, a manager at work, I would be like, we're screwed. Listen to how he says we're fun.
up our communities and linking up our economies to deliver fun and to serve game.
To deliver fun and serve game. Bro, there ain't no fun being delivered.
Gamers with great games in a way we've never done before. And to accomplish that,
I can't help it. This is driving me up the wall already. I can barely hear what he's saying because, like, just the communication's so bad. Bro, Tim, you got some money. Hire me, bro. I'll fix you up in no time. Give me a month. You'll be out here, Mikkel hyperpolyglotting this shit. I got you, my man.
we're going to all need to change the way we build things. We're going to need to build better games. We're going to need to build them more efficiently. And we're going to need to design up front and build for connected games, where all of our player bases are connected socially and our economies are connected so that players...
Do you guys want all your games to be connected socially, as including all the economies of those games? Is that what you want? Personally? Well, I don't.
Instead of seeing these as isolated products, see them as part of a global ecosystem that all game developers participate in together.
Could you just imagine it? You're going to open up, I don't know, The Sims, and there's going to be an auction house where you're going to be able to buy, I don't know, GTA 6 characters and shit. I don't know, man. I don't know.
You know, we want to work with all of you and with all of the game developers in the industry to achieve this together. The things we built with Unreal Engine 6 are our technological foundation for it. And you know, we believe that this is a big challenge that we all have to rise to. We need to win the competition for players' time, not only against other games, but also against YouTube and TikTok and everything else that people are doing online.
Am I the enemy? I work in YouTube and he wants to fight against us.
And this was very much on our minds when we set out about building Unreal Engine 6. And it's also what was on the minds of really close partners like Disney and Lego and other AAA game developers when we've been building increasingly close partnerships to them to build this.
It is interesting, though, the way he presented that is as if this is games versus movies now. Now, the game industry already makes way more than movies. I should have actually said this is games versus YouTube. So they actually see YouTube as competition for your time now. That's fascinating. I remember when I was working as an actor. Yeah, guys, I've worked in every fucking industry out there, okay? You want me to do reacts to any? I've worked in it, okay? So I remember when I was working as an actor, at that stage, games was not quite... Well, maybe it had already passed economically the film industry, but it had not socially, respect-wise, passed it. And I remember the Australian government was looking to fund, you know, put money into the local industry. And they were trying to decide if they should put any, like, how much money or how little money into games. And there was, like, all this debate around the fact, well, games are now actually overtaking the movie industry in value that they make for the Australian public, okay, like in the, you know, tax returns and stuff. And the actors were like, you can't give them more money?
Together. You know,
I made fun of all these because I'm a game developer, being an actor, I'm fucking, you know, YouTuber. Like, I see the fun side of all of them.
And it's very clear, Fortnite, 80 million monthly active users. That's quite a lot, but we realize...
There you go, back to Fortnite. It's Roblox, baby. Everyone's going to be playing Roblox.
...that this is not enough for Epic to do it alone.
Actually, now that makes me think, because I stepped into political space a little bit a while ago. Now you've got different countries restricting by age verification gaming, which means that all this stuff's going to be built into engine. It's going to be so bloated.
To build the ecosystem of the future, we're going to have to build it together. And I think that...
I don't want to build it with you. I'll work on your code for money, but I don't want to make you the top dog.
The thesis for that is very optimistic, that between all of us and the world's best games, many of which use Unreal Engine, and many of whose developers use Unreal Engine, and many projects, we have billions of active users. And so we have the opportunity to form up into Team Open and to define the future of gaming together again. And that's exactly what...
Do you feel prepared, guys? Are we prepared to define gaming again? After all, it's all about that fun.
We want to accomplish in this generation together with you. So that's what we're doing. And thank you very much for coming here to Unreal Fest. And remember, where else in the world can Fortnite creators get together with AAA game developers and filmmakers and architects and car designers and people at Lockheed Martin who are designing things they're not even allowed to talk about here?
Yeah, I'm not even allowed to talk about the stuff that I work on, at least for the last 5 years. So I have to talk in kind of like, you know, what is it, like bird's eye view and stuff. But I'm going to say, okay, I love Unreal Engine. It's actually my favorite engine that's not designed from the ground up, okay? However, it's becoming more and more bloated, and it's because they keep adding all these extra features on top. Rather than just rebuilding out the base and optimizing it for the newest of tech, it's just, I don't know. Too many features. We don't need this amount of features. Like, yeah. Okay. Based on this and current Unreal Engine, if this was all the feature set, it's not. I know there's more features coming out. Maybe I'll react to other videos if you guys want me to. I don't know if this video is going to be popular or not. If it is, and you want me to react to some more gaming, like development industry videos, then fine, I will. But features-wise, it's not really doing it for me. Like, there's no real benefit to me upgrading at this stage. Like, if I was to... Because every time you upgrade, there's a hidden tax in how the resources that these systems take over. And they always say, oh, you know, it runs better now with this new version. It never does. It never fucking does. It always just sucks more goddamn resources, which I now need to find. Okay, that's pretty much it. Hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I'll see you all in the next video, and if you're not there, I will be designing a simulation in which you are broken down into your base particles.